I just can't get enough of you guys today, so I'm filming again. I'm on my way home. I had mentioned before that I had a follow-up and that I wanted to make a video about that. So my surgeon's office called me and they were like, you never had your 6-month follow-up. And I was like, I was supposed to have a 6-month follow-up, which I didn't realize. They didn't call me to schedule it. I didn't call to schedule it, so it never got scheduled. And they had called me right before I went on vacation. So I saw them when I came back. It was essentially like 9 months. I had my 6-month follow-up right around the 9-month mark. So I just went in. They wanted to pull labs, but I had all of my labs drawn at my primary care provider maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before that, because I was at my primary care provider and I asked her, did I tell you guys that? I was there for something else and was just like, hey, I haven't had any like follow-up labs since the 12-week mark. I'm just curious. So she just did like annual pull and did kind of just general CBC, blah, blah, blah. She did add a couple that she thought were kind of more bariatric specific, even though she wouldn't really know to follow up on them, because I was kind of concerned about calcium and B12. So anyways, when I went to the surgeon's office, they did draw my blood just because there were 2 that my primary care office didn't pull that they normally pull. Anyways, all of my labs were normal. My vitamin D was like on the very brink of being low, so that's something that I know that I could be doing better at, because I always forget to take my calcium and my B12. Not my B12, my vitamin D. My vitamin D was really close to being low. Is that what I said? Anyways, I'm really terrible at taking my calcium and vitamin D because I can't take it with anything else. I would just forego taking it. Like if it was the end of the evening and I needed to take my multivitamin again, or I needed to take my antidepressant and my antibiotic that I take for my skin, and I hadn't also taken my calcium, I would take everything else and not the calcium and D. And so basically my nutritionist said that yes, they would rather me take everything separate, but that if I got into that situation, it was the end of the night and I needed to take both my multivitamin and my calcium and D, that she would rather have me take them all together and not absorb everything fully than to just completely forego taking the calcium and D. So I wish I could tell you that that's what I had been doing, but I still haven't been doing that. So it's something I really need to work on. Other than that, the follow-up appointment was really, really good. Of course, everyone in the office was fucking fawning over me, which was nice, I'm not gonna lie. They were just like so complimentary and like telling me how good I've been doing. Something that I didn't know was what their goal for me was. So their like scale goal for me is 173, and I think that that's because that's 75% of my excess weight. And then they have my ideal body weight at like 140 something. That shit ain't gonna happen, I'm gonna tell you that right now. But 173 felt like that's totally doable, and that's probably doable even before my 1-year mark. And then I had to sit down with the nutritionist. We kind of went over what a typical day looks like for me. I was very honest with her and told her that I am mostly good most of the time, but I definitely, step outside of what I think I should be doing. And then that is important for me to that when I try to completely take things off the table, that triggers something in me that I binge. When I feel like I'm really restricted, it triggers me to binge. So she was mostly happy with what I'm doing, of course, because I'm mostly good most of the time. But she, some of the snacky things that I eat, she gave me a lot of suggestions on some better alternatives for snacks. things like, you know, hummus with veggies and stuff like that. She also was just like, overall, she was happy with all of my choices, but she wanted me to incorporate more veggies. So that's definitely something that I can work on. My surgeon was amazing. I've mentioned before that their office is a little unorganized, so I ended up waiting to see him for a while, and they were just like, you know, you're doing fine. If you don't want to see him, you don't have to. But I wanted to see him, and I'm glad that I did, because more than anybody else, he kind of really stopped and was like, how are you feeling? And I think that he was waiting for me to get emotional about where I'm at, and I was just like, I'm fine. I feel great. And he asked a couple of questions that, like I said, made me feel like he was waiting for me to really understand the gravity of what's happened. And you know, I kind of, you know, really briefly and succinctly answered his questions, and he was like, bring up her before picture, please, to the person in the room. Because when he came into the room, he did a physical exam, so he had me pull up my shirt, and, you know, he wanted to look under my bra, and he had me unbutton my pants. And so whenever he does that, he'll have an assistant in the room. So she was in there. He was like, bring up her before picture. And he's like, do her a side by side. So they brought up the first picture that I take. So every time I go in there, they take my pictures. So they had the picture of the first time that I went in there. It was either my orientation or my first actual appointment, which were, you know, like one day apart. And I was fucking gobsmacked. It looked like an exaggeration of what I remember looking like. It looked like, yeah, it was like, I don't remember looking like that. I don't remember all of that. Like, I knew obviously that my face has thinned out, but it was so uncomfortable looking, my face. And I was just like, me? That was me? And I think then he kind of got the reaction that he was looking for, which was, I've come a long fucking way. And he was just like, you know, yes, honey, yes, you have. And then before I left, they gave me a printed out version of, and they hadn't taken my picture when he was showing me that. So they were like, you know, let's do a before and after. And I was like, oh, you haven't taken my picture yet today? So that was really cool. I was there for a long time, a lot longer than I needed to be there, but you know, it was nice to have them kind of fuss over me, and it was nice for him to realize that I wasn't really, I don't want to say I wasn't giving myself credit, but I think he really wanted me to have that, like, oh gosh, look at what I've really done moment, and I wasn't until I really saw that before picture. So that was really special. He was really happy with me and the progress that I've made. He puts on a gala every year, so he feels like a lot of his patients never went to prom or, like, you know, went to anything where they really went all out and decked themselves out. So he puts on a gala every year for his post-op patients, and I guess they're doing a princess theme this year, and he's like, you would make the most beautiful Snow White, or no, he said, you would make the most beautiful Sleeping Beauty. And I was like, do you mean Snow White, like the one with the dark hair? And he's like, yeah, the one with the dark hair. And I was like, gotcha. So I don't know if I'll do that. I'm not sure when it is. I think it's sometime in the fall. But overall, just had a really nice visit. And if I can find a good way to maybe scan that picture, or maybe ask them to email me a copy of my before picture, I'll either put it up as I'm gonna have to post it on Facebook. I don't know how I would put it on here. Maybe if I really get motivated and decide I want to put together a 1-year some kind of review video, then I'll try to get that and include it in it. Anyways, I'm home. I love you guys. Again, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.